So, we will start our session. Chaturmukha Samarambham Vagbhadacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam Ragadirogan Sadatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasrudan Asheshan Aulsukyamoharadidan Jakhana Yopurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So, we are discussing Samprapti, and we saw the definition of Samprapti. Yathadushtena doshena yatha cha anuvisarpata nirvritti ramayasya asau sampraptihi jadihi agatihi. And we found two major events or major terms used in connection with this description of Samprapti. One is Yadhadushtena. So, one dushti is there. Yathacha anuvisarpada. So, the second one is anuvisarpana. We should understand these two events, these two phrases in detail. Yathadushtena, dushti, and anuvisarpada, anuvisarpana. The first one is dushti. What is dushti? Dushtaha. We find this word very frequently. Duštavranam, dosha dushti, srodo dushti, dhadu dushti. Like that, we come across this term very frequently. If you look at the commentaries, that is a common way of looking into the finer sense of words, isn't it? So either you have to look for some nikhandu or you have to depend on some commentaries. Arunadatta, one of the celebrity commentators of Ashtanga Hridaya, will be explaining this dushti as dushtaha kupitaha. It is nothing but kupitaha. One point we should keep in our minds all the time. No word has got an absolute meaning without specifying the context. This is very important. Whatever the word is, the context gives the specific meaning. Without context, I think if we try to give the meaning of that word, I think that need not be necessarily correct always. So here also we find dushtaha. And Arunadatta comments, dushtaha iti kupitaha. So contextually that makes sense. Contextually that makes sense in this particular area of explanation of Samprapti. Yathadushtena can be understood as Yathakupitena. So contextually that makes sense. But interestingly, if you look into the other celebrity commentator Hemadri, we can find a different narrative. What is that? Dushti Rupahanirva Rupa Vruddhirva Rupandaramva Ityadi Dushtatva Prakaraha. That is quite an interesting statement. And to some extent, it has got some sort of a meaning or sense of meaning even beyond the context. Even if you separate the idea from the context and look at it, I think this explanation by Hemadri looks quite interesting. What is that? Rupa hanirva, rupa vruddhirva, rupa andaram va, ityadi dushtatva prakaraha. Three terms: rupa hani, rupa vruddhi, rupandaram. All the three based on one common padam, that is rupa. In certain areas in the textbook, we will find these sort of explanations. What is the Vikrita dosha? What is the Sama dosha? In all these explanations, actually, we will get a correct idea of these words when we put many descriptions given in different contexts. When we bring them together and then scan them, I think we will be getting a correct idea of the possible range of meanings. In a different context, we find yathabalam yathasvam cha doshaha dushtaha vitanvate rupani. So if we find a word rupani, yathabalam yathasvam cha doshaha dushtaha vitanvate rupani. So we find dushti also there. Jahadi kshinaha, jahadi kshinaha, kshinaha jahati. I will come to the meaning of that sloka. Samaha swam karma kurvate. That is a sloka what we find, which is about the status of the avastha of dosha in general. What is that? Yatha balam yathaswam cha doshaha dushtaha vitanvate rupani. Yatha balam yathaswam cha doshaha dushtaha vitanvate rupani jahadi kshinaha samaha swam karma kurvate. Ashtanga. So, doshaha dushtaha rupani vitanvate. Vitanvate means some sort of a spreads to more spaces, to more areas, becomes more elaborated, more pronounced. All these things can be understood from the kriya vitanvate. So dushtaha doshaha rupani vitanvate. When a dosha is dushta, or when doshas are dushtas, they make their rupa spread to more areas, more spaces, and they become more pronounced by means of overexpression of rupas. They become more pronounced by the expression of their rupas. Yatha balam yathaswam cha. Yatha balam shows all these words are very interesting, very important also, because they just one word in Vakbhada's Ashtanga Hridaya will be accommodating a passage from Charaka Samhita or Ashtanga Sangraha. Yatha balam, according to the bala of dushti, yatha swamcha, according to the dosha which has gone to the dushti, vruddha doshaha vruddhaha vitanvate. I think I told earlier that doshaha vruddhaha, dosha dushtaha, no, doshaha vruddhaha vitanvate rupani. Jahadi kshinaha. Kshinaha jahati, quits. Rupani jahati. So they are becoming more and more restricted in their capacity to present their rupa when they are kshina. Rupani jahadi kshinaha. So vruddhaha rupani vitanvate, kshinaha rupani jahati. Samaha swam karma kurvate. Samaha doshaha swam karma kurvate. A samadosha will deliver its karma optimally. Swam karma kurvate. So we find certain things mixed here. One point that we understand from this statement is that we are putting the doshas into two halves or two possibilities. One is sama. Second is asama or vishama. When the samyam or samavastha is lost, vigadam bhavati, then we call it as vishama. So one category is sama, the other one is vishama. Samam is the prakriti. Vishamam is the vikriti. Samam is the prakriti, vishamam is the vikriti. And in the category of vikriti, we find two: vruddham, kshinam. And in the vruddha group, we find rupani vitanvate. In the kshinam, we find rupani jahati. Vruddha rupas become more pronounced according to the strength and according to the dosha. According to the strength and according to the dosha, when kshina, they become more and more restricted in their capacity to present themselves. Whereas in the other side, samaha. Samadosha delivers its karma optimally. Samaha swam karma kurvate. So we find in the Vikrita Rupa, Vikrita section, the term used is Rupa. In the Sama section, we find the term used as karma. In the Vikrita section, Rupani vitanvate, Rupani jahati. Here we find swam karma kurvate. Is there any difference? Is it very peculiar that when it is Vikrita, we use the term Rupa, when it is Prakrita or Prakrita, we use karma? Is it so? No, it is not like that. This Rupa of a dosha is actually manifested in the form of some sort of a karma. In a very precise manner, in a very subtle sense, you can say that it is the manifestation of a guna or karma. And most often, the gunas will be presenting themselves in the form of karma. So, the rupa of a dosha is manifested either as a guna or a karma. So, there is no difference. But for the sake of explanation or the convenience of explanation, it is used that in the Vikrita section it is as rupa, in the Prakrita section it is as karma. It is of not much relevance. Hope it is clear. And here we find that rupa hani, rupa vritti, rupandaram. So that may be also translated as gunahani, gunavritti, gunandaram. Karmahani, karmavritti, karmandaram. So three possibilities are being given by Hemadri to explain the word dushti. Yathabalam, yathaswamcha, doshaha, vrithaha, vitanyate rupani, jahadi kshinaha, and jahadi kshina samaha swam karma kurvate. This is an important point. Then, while explaining the samanya samprapti in a very highly generalized manner, we have discussed this earlier in one other previous session, but still I think that is relevant. What is that? Doshaha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti ubhaye malan adhodve saptashirasi ghani svedavahani cha malaha malayananihi syuhu yathaswam teshwado gadaha. This is the samanya samprapti of all rogas explained in one way. What is that? Doshaha dushtaha. So the term used is dushta. Doshaha dushtaha. It could have been doshaha vriddhaha, but the word used is doshaha dushtaha. Rasaihi. Rasa is the exclusive representative of all nimitta karanas. Doshaha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti ubhaye malan adhodve saptashirasi ghani svedavahani cha malaha malayanani syuhu yadhaswam teshwado gadaha. So that is one way of explaining the samanya samprapti of sarva vikaras, sarva vyadhi nidana sangraham, by highlighting the idea of dushti. Meantime, we will find sarva vyadhi nidana sangraham or sarva vyadhi samprapti sangraham. That may be a more inclusive word. Explained in terms of the other aspect. What is that? Anuvisarpana. Anuvisarpana. In another context, that is in the Sarvaroga Nidanam. What is that? As one of the concluding shlokas in Sarvaroga Nidanam chapter, Nidanam first chapter of Ashtanga Hridayam. Pradirogamidi kruddhaha rogadhishthana gaminihi rasayanihi prabadya ashu doshaha dehe vikurvate. Pradirogam iti kruddhaha Rogadhishthanagaminihi rasayanihi prabadhya. Rogadhishthanagaminihi rasayanihi prabadhya. That is the representation of this Anuvisarpana. So that way, the Samanya Samprapti, Sarvaroga Samanya Samprapti given in these two lines, Pradiroga Midi Kruddhaha Rogadhishthanagaminihi Rasayanihi. The Rasayanis which are situated, moving towards and situated in the Roga Adhishthanam. In the Roga Adhishthanam. Doshas go to the stage of Roga Nirmanam, formation of Roga, by spreading through the Rasayanis, the Rasavahasrotas, which are moving towards or moving to and situated at the Roga Adhisthana. So that represents the other way of understanding Samprapti based on the Anuvisarpana. So these two shlokas, see how beautifully they are represented. The first we find Dosha Dushtaha Rasaihi Dhadun Dushayandi Ubhaye Malan Adhodve Saptasirasi Ghani Svedavahanicha Mala Malayanani Syuhu Yadhaswam Teshwado Gadaha. I will explain these shlokas when the situation, the context comes. And in the second shloka we find Pradirogamidi Kruthaha Rogadhishthanagaminihi Rasayanihi Prabadhya Ashu Dosha Dehe Vikurvate. So Yathadushtena Doshena Yathajanu Visarpata Nirvrittiramayasya Asau Sampraptihi. Asau Sampraptihi. So when we put these two things together, in the first part, Yathadushtena Doshena. Yathadushtena Doshena. There we put the first shloka. What is that? Dosha dushta rasaihi dhadun dushayandi ubhaye malan adhodve saptasirasi ghanisve. So that is dushti parampara. That is dushti parampara. And that dushti parampara needs a mechanism of distribution to support it. That is yathaja anuvisarpada. There we place Pradiroga Midi Kruddhaha Rogadhishthana Gaminihi Rasayanihi Prabadhya Ashu Dosha Dehe Vikurvate. So, one standard definition of Samprapti, taking leads from two different situations and fill them to make more meaningful. That depicts the perfect idea of Samprapti. But that is not sufficient. We have to understand what you mean by this Vikriti and what is the difference, as somebody had asked in the chat box. What is the Rupa Hani, Rupa Vritti, Rupantaram? Are they relevant to take it? Is it relevant, or is it okay to take the explanation of Hemadri for granted unconditionally? Does it make any? Because conventionally we have never gone through such an explanation. We were familiar with only two things: Prakritam, Vikritam. And in the Prakriti, it is Samam. Vikriti, two types of happenings or possibilities, Vritti or Kshayam. So here we find a third one, that is Rupandaram. Does it make any sense? Should we follow that explanation of Hemadri? So these things are to be discussed in detail. Anyway, I think we will see some of the basic aspects regarding the Rupa, which is indicative of something. Wherever you find the word Rupam, that means Lakshanam or Chinnam or Akriti, or even to our context specifically, some karma vishesham. Because see, rupam is, the word rupam is used always to express the presence of something. If you have to understand something, what will be the shape of a glass? So immediately we start explaining what about the rupam of the glass, because that is very important, because the glass is having a peculiar rupam which makes it different from a cup or a chair from a table. So these are fundamentally based. So a rupam is something like a lakshanam. Lakshanam means that which is used to identify certain things. The lakshyam is becoming manifested or clear by some principle, and that principle is known as its lakshana. Regarding the doshas, that is very interesting. Regarding the doshas, we find some lakshana. What is that lakshana? Pravartana lakshana dosha. So doshas are having the lakshana of pravarti. So that itself is self-explanatory. When you are looking at the dosha, that is ultimately manifested in the form of pravartanam. Pravartanam is karma. So doshas are doing certain karma, and that karma may be manifesting as rupa. Karma may be manifesting as rupa. Rupa of something else. Rupa of something else, that I'm not confusing, you see, making you confused. See, some sort of a manifestation on a peculiar substratum, some adhishthanam. We understand the see we see something, a leaf. We see the leaf when the light is manifesting on that object. When the light is manifesting on that subject. Otherwise, we can't see the leaf, isn't it? In the same way, doshas are manifesting on something in the form of its guna, and that creates some sort of a karma on that substratum. And we understand that there is that dosha. That is why, see, the gunas are always understood in the form of karmas. Most probably, there are exceptions, of course. Karma bhistu anumiyante. So here we find the rupa, rupa vritti, rupa hani, rupandaram of doshas. So it needs a substratum. That we will come to. That is why we find dosha, dushta, rasaihi, dhadun, dushayanti. And the prakrita karmas of a sharira as a whole. The prakrita karma of the sharira in swasthya. And ultimately or fundamentally, the identification of any object is based on two things. Either rupam or nama. Nama rupa jnana or rupa nama jnana. Sometimes the rupa explains or connects with the nama. Sometimes the nama connects with the rupa. The fundamental identity is based on rupa and nama. Say, for example, my namam is Prasad. Okay. And that Prasad the name, namam, is not unconditional. It is associated with my rupam also. Any namam with the prasad cannot be me. My rupam alone is also not sufficient. When it is associated with the namam prasad, then only it is becoming me. So they are complementary and fundamental. Rupajnanam and Namatnanam. We are seeing similar explanations in the context of Dravyas. Oshadhir Namarubabhyam Jayanade Hyajabhavane Avipaschaiva Gopaschaye Chanye Vanacharina. So Namarubabhyam, Namatnanam and Rupajnanam. They are the fundamental things for the identification. So, as far as doshas are concerned, they are also having these sort of issues or things. In Maharogam Adhyayam Charagam Sutram 20, we will find Acharya Charaga explaining Sarveshwapi Khalu Edeshu Vata Vikareshu Ukteshu Anyeshu Cha Anukteshu Vayoho Idam Atmarupam. These are the Atmarupam. How or what sort of Atmarupam? Aparinami. No any change. Aparinami. What way? Which are they? Tadyatha Rauksham Shaityam Lakhavam Vaishadyam Gatihi Amurtatvam Anavasthitatvam Cha Iti Vayoho Atmarupani. Iti Vayoho Atmarupani. These are the Atmarupas of Vayu in all Vikaras. In all Vikaras. So we find Rupam. Now, Yathabalam Yathaswam Cha Dosha Vruddha Vidanyate Rupani, according to the strength of the support that Vayu is enjoying, he will be spreading these lakshanas with a certain amount of strength and vigor, because these are the Atmarupas of Vikrita Vayu. And we all know that they are connected with Tatra Ruksho Laghusitaha Ghara Sukshmas Chalo Anilaha, the gunas of Vayu. Here Atmarupani we find Rauksham Shaityam Lakhavam Vaisadyam Gadiramurtatvam Anavasthitatvam Cha, which is a mirror image of Tatra Ruksho Laghusitaha Ghara Sukshmas Chalo Anilaha. So the gunas manifesting as certain karma visheshas, certain avastha visheshas in the vikara, rupani, vitanvate, and we find that by seeing these lakshanas, either in full or in part, we infer that there is Vayu, which is avyabhijari. There is Vayu. But of course, while we are coming to the real practice, it is not that simple, straightforward equations. There are many multiple points which merge together to make the situation a bit complex. But that is to be understood. We will come to it later. So, please look into these aspects. Again, I am requesting, please go through Doshadi Vijnaniyam, Dosha Bhediyam, Doshopakramaniyam, Dividhopakramaniyam in Ashtanga Hridayam Sutram, and Yoga Bhediyam and Bheshajavacharaniyam in Ashtanga Sangraham Sutram, which will make our travel easier and comfortable. Because it is not that easy. While we are explaining Samprapti, it is not a child's play. It is not very easy to go deep into the finer aspects of Gunam or Rupam, all these things. So please come prepared in our next sessions. I think we will wind up today. We have a lot of chats in the, just 1 minute. Let me see. No, many are some other questions. Can someone give a difference between Rupahani, Rupa Vruddhi, Rupandaram? That will be cleared in due course of time. So don't bother about it. I think interestingly, sometimes I get some personal questions. In most of the situations, I give them an answer that this will be some sort of a disclosed in due course of explanation. That immediate jitnasa will definitely be answered or discussed in our following sessions. What is the difference between dosha utpatti during ahara paga by jadharagni and the malanam amashaya praveshena in the context of samprapti? Yes, that is in the jara samprapti. Okay, that also we will find. I'm noting down these questions. Definitely, I think we will be coming across all these points in our future in the coming sessions. Whether rupa is also because of guna, just like karma. Yes, rupa is also because of guna. Rupa is also because of guna. Okay. There is another question: which chapters we need to read for the next class? See, it is not just based on one chapter. All those chapters which I mentioned, you do some sort of a swadhyayam. Read at least 2 chapters from that list every day, or in the morning and evening, so that it will be a very smooth understanding. Okay, so thank you very much. Due to lack of time, I'm winding up. I know that, okay, when we are coming to the very serious explanations and deeper ideas, our time will be over. But anyway, we will continue in our next session on Wednesday. Thank you very much. भिषजां साधुवृत्तानां भद्रमागमशालिनाम् अभ्यस्तकर्मणां भद्रं भद्रं भद्राभिलाषिणाम्.